Another episode of Combat and Coffee. Paulie Malignaggi here with Big Jimbo. What's going on, bro?
We're in California, Paulie.
California. Yeah. I know. California.
Why are
no
you
doubt
here?
about it. BYB. Right here. BYB. We're doing, you know what's funny about California? The commission won't allow bare knuckles. So BYB in California is going to be with MMA gloves. So it's going to be boxing in a triangle, in the trigon, as we call it, with MMA gloves. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing here. And we're going to go on air tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, what's tomorrow night's date?
It is going to be the 27th, so I'm going to air this
27th.
tomorrow, so it'll be tonight.
With him?
And anybody that's jumping out to you that's on the card, or
Nah, there are always a bunch of crazy bastards on these cards. Honestly, it's like it's not as big of a card as we usually have because, like I said, it's not bare knuckle this time, so we got a little bit of a smaller card. We're working with Roy Engelbrecht. You know, he always does the shows out here in the hangar, so we're working with him.
Is he going to be in the hangar?
Yeah. So that's what we're doing the card. It'll be a good fun card. Honestly, bro, with BYB, it's always good fights. You know, Trigon. The Trigon is a small. It's a Trigon's the smallest service in combat sports. No matter who you throw in there, it always winds up being a good fight. So honestly, I like working these fights. They're shorter fights. They're very intense. The guys can't run because there's no space in there, and it's good fights. It always winds up being fun. You know?
Yeah.
So that's it.
And to start, we haven't seen each other in person since September. I just wanted to ask you, since that last September when I saw you in LA, what has been your favorite fight? In boxing?
I don't know. Let's see.
Mine is the Better Be fight.
Better Be was fine.
Yeah.
Better Be was fun. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna remember from September. Honestly, I got a short-term memory. I don't know. I got a big short-term memory. I don't know. Like if you bring something up, like the Better Be a fight was a fun fight, but I don't know. I'm not gonna remember everything. You know, we've had some good fights though since September.
All right. Well, we'll just start with the one last week.
All right.
Tank Garcia. I know we've gone all over and talked about it.
Tank Davidson and Ryan Garcia. You know, I went into the fight. I was going back and forth. I believe I had picked Tank on the Pro Box TV prediction and the week before because I couldn't go. I was going back and forth with this, but on Paulie TV, I ended up picking Ryan. And if your pick is going to be Ryan, you got to go early because honestly, I mean, I always felt even in picking Ryan, if the fight starts to go late, it's going to just get worse and worse for Ryan. And honestly, that's how it ended up being. It ended up being worse and worse for Ryan each passing round. It wasn't really advantageous for Ryan even in the beginning, maybe the first round, you know. But after that, I thought you could just see the levels of both guys, like the difference in levels, you know, like you can see Javonta constantly taking it up a level every round. He's giving different looks, he's giving different angles, he's giving different level changes, feinting in different ways, and he's using all these deceptions. He punches off of all of them, he counters off of all of them, and he's closing the gap little by little, more strategically and more regularly every single round, to the point where by the time the fight ended, yes, he had the knockdown in the second round, and I thought that changed the momentum a lot. I thought that took Ryan's confidence away, but by the time he got the second knockdown, it was already, you could feel like the walls had closed in on Ryan. Like he had no answers to keep this guy off of him. Javonta had a radar on all Ryan's offense by that point. Nothing was really landing that was going to get Javonta's respect. We know Ryan can punch, so he can get your respect if he can hit you. But Ryan now not only couldn't hit Javonta, but everything he was throwing, Javonta had a radar on it and was reacting to it and making him pay for it. So it was getting to the point where Ryan was getting gun shy, which means Javonta's getting a little closer. I'm just trying to put you in the mind of a stressed fighter when a guy's starting to get that close to you and he's getting comfortable getting that close to you and you can't get him off you. And that's sort of where Ryan was. And then he got hit with the body shot. And everybody talks about the body shot. It wasn't that hard. Listen, I've been hurt with a raking body shot. You know what I'm saying? I remember Edna Cherry fight. Edna Cherry hit me with like a raking body shot, like ripped across. It looked like it didn't even land. And I can remember like that crap hurt me. And like I had to play possum. But that wasn't really a kidney shot. That was up in the rib area, but it kind of reverberates to your liver because you're exhaling. Ryan was throwing a right hand, so he's not protecting by holding in his breath. So when he's throwing that right hand, even if he gets it a little higher, it reverberates to the liver, and that was enough to put him down. I'll tell you that. It was definitely enough to put him down. Because like I said, I especially you're already stressed, you're kind of hurting. Javonta's already starting to land a little bit more. It's not like the first body shot you took of the night. You know what I mean? So he's starting to get to you, and then that puts you down. But I will say, I don't think it was enough to keep him down. I think what kept him down was the knowledge of what was waiting for him if he continues. You know, and what's waiting for him if he continues is a bad beating, because at this point he knows already. He's already been experienced for a round and a half already. Even if he had a decent sixth round, he had to work so hard just to have a decent sixth round. Just to have a decent sixth round, he had to like give it his all, you know. So he knows like there's no freaking way he's gonna be able to keep this guy off him. And if he can't keep this guy off him, this guy's gonna beat on him, because this guy hits hard. He's already felt his power. He's already been down. Ryan can't get his respect because he can't hit him. It's going to get really, really bad. And so I think from the way I can judge that situation, Ryan was hurt enough to go down, but not hurt enough to stay down. What kept Ryan down was the knowledge of what's waiting for him if he gets up. And what's waiting for him, we all know what's waiting for him. If you understand what you're watching there, what's waiting for him is it's going to get really, really bad. And he didn't want to dig in and say to himself, let me see if I can figure out a way out of this. He had already told himself, when you stay down like that, you already told yourself, I don't have it in me to figure out a way out of this. I can't figure it out. He's better than me, and I accepted the defeat. And that's sort of what it comes down to. I can remember Alexis Arguello talking about that in the prior fight, where he says, I think in the second prior fight, where he took the count, and he described that. He said, I remember I look at the referee and I just admit, okay, this man is better than me, and I can't hack him. And that's an all-time great. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, I'm not comparing Ryan to Alexis Arguello, but it's the same situation, only Ryan's nowhere near as hungry. Because, Ryan has plenty of money. He's not really a guy like that is not fighting for greatness. Because when you're fighting for greatness, money's not going to really be important to you. Because Ryan has never won a world title. He's never been a champion. So the desire to stay in a tough fight like that has to be something within you. It's not financial, because financially you're not struggling. And that's why it's very, very hard, if you're not struggling, if you're not coming from a place of struggling, to go through the ladders all the way up to the top of this sport, unless you come from a place of struggling, And I don't think Ryan has been in a place of struggling for a long time.
You think this will send him to that?
Hell no. The guy's worth like $20 million. Hell no. No shot. I think what it's going to do is, it may bother him mentally, because people are probably giving him a whole bunch of crap now, talking. But I don't know, man. It depends on what kind of person he is inside to see how much it bothers him. Can Ryan win a title in boxing? I think he can. Yeah, I mean, especially that I think a lot of these guys are going to start leaving the weight class. Mm-hmm. There might be a title to grab for Ryan, but I don't think it's going to be that easily in the next couple of years.
He's going up to 140.
Well, Oscar told us at Pro Box TV in the interview I gave him that he's going to stick around at 135 for a while.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
He said in the post fight that he was going to 140.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he goes to 140. But at 140, it's hard, bro. At 140, listen, at 135, it's tougher because the belt's are most likely going to stay top rank, because Shakur is going to go from Lomachenko to Shakur. Yeah, I said it. Lomachenko's going to beat Haney. I
also think that he's rubbed off on me. I was saying Haney for the past.
No, but even we'll get to that in a second. Yeah. But when the fight actually got signed, more and more people started picking Lomachenko again. The people's better senses got to them. Everybody before it was signed was a big timer. Now all the race baiters are picking Haney, and that's it. Everybody else with a regular mind is picking Lomachenko.
After Cotto, how did you rebound? Because that was kind of a similar. Again, weren't you knocked down in the second round?
Yeah, I was knocked down in the second round too. Yeah. I actually broke my orbital in the second round with the knockdown. But what I'm saying is,
how'd you rebound from that?
Or you rebound, first of all. I didn't have the money Ryan had. So I was still like chasing money, because I literally had to get something. I had nothing. I was just starting to make more money at that point in my career. So I had to stay there, because if that was the money I was going to make, it wasn't going to be enough. So I was just starting to make more money. I needed to stay at that level. So, and plus again, I mean, the desire to win a world championship, is years in the making. At that point, when I won the world title, it was 10 years to the exact month that I started boxing. So a full decade's worth of work, I started boxing in June 97. I won my first world title in June 2007. So again, it's just that you have to have that inner dog, that inner desire. And especially if you've never been a world champion. I mean, Ryan didn't even want to find out what he had inside him. He chose to stay down. He didn't want to find out what he had inside, because that's a what you have inside of you moment. You know what I mean? Like, Ryan didn't want to find out. And don't get me wrong, man. I mean, there could be moments where in your career, like, I'll be honest with you, could I have gotten up for the llast body shot I took in my boxing career against Eggington? Maybe. It would have been close. Maybe. I could have tried maybe a little harder. But by that point, I knew I didn't want to face that. I was getting tired. I have no legs. I don't have my young legs anymore.
Was that the one body shot that really took you out?
I've been hurt with other body shots, but that was a body shot that actually ended the fight. But what I'm saying is, similar situation hurt me. I could maybe get up right at the end of that count, But then I'm in a close fight. I have to battle my way against a really hungry guy who's bringing a pace. And I don't have the legs I used to have. And I don't know if I have the desire to go through that kind of war, because it's going to have to become a real physical fight in the second half of the fight. The first half of the fight, I was able to box, but I was wearing down. Same thing with Ryan. The second half of that fight is going to become a physical fight. But the difference is Ryan's in his mid-20s. I was in my mid-30s. 2 world championships into my career already. You know what I mean? And that's why I retired after that. I said, if I'm going to be that guy, I refuse to be that guy and continue boxing. If I can't be the guy that I need to be, if I can't be the guy that when the question is asked, I answer yes with a resounding yes and I continue fighting, then I don't want to keep fighting. Ryan made that decision to not keep fighting when the going got tough in the middle of his 20s. And so, does he have too much money? Yeah, but if money was what it was all about, then I don't know. Where's the self-worth of winning a world championship? That's important to me, man. That's important.
What would be your next step if you were him, and you want to keep? I don't know. In the game.
I mean, listen, Ryan's always gonna bring value to this to his fights. He's gonna be able to make money fighting, the Fortunas of the world and the Manuel Tagos of the world. He'll I'm sure the Zone will keep paying for his fights because he gets ratings. Listen, man, they sold 1.2 million pay-per-views. Yeah. That's both of them. That's the fight in general, and that's both of them. In a fight that involved one guy who's been a world champion at one weight class, not 5 like they try to tell you on the broadcast. That was a lie. Javonta Davis has been a world champion at 130 pounds, and that's it. He's never been a world champion at 135. He's never been a world champion at 140. Flat out lie. Those are fake belts they're counting. And then Ryan, who's never been a world champion at all. So they sold 1.2 million pay-per-views in a non-title fight. One guy who's never been a world champion and one guy who's been a world champion at a lower weight class and never at the current weight class. And yet, they sold 1.2 million pay-per-views. I mean, they sold it to you like a fake championship fight, don't get me wrong, but anybody in the know knows. And yet, they still sold 1.2 million pay-per-views. So the popularity of these guys is really to another level. But I think Ryan brought more popularity than Javonta, despite the fact that Javonta is very popular at this point. Yeah, and with Javonta, the IQ is so high, but people, sometimes you become that basic boxing fan because you just fall in love with the power so much that you forget to look at the other qualities. And sometimes they're not there, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's literally just a puncher. Javonta really, again, I said, he took out Ryan with a high IQ and then power. You know what I'm saying? He just took him through the levels. All right, we're going to start in first grade, and we're going to go up second, third, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, and we're going to zoom up these levels. And, man, I mean, by the time the fight ended, Javonta, you could see he was Ivy League level, but he didn't even get there yet. And already Ryan couldn't keep up. You know what I mean? You could see Javonta was going to take it to an Ivy League level of boxing. And Ryan was trying to keep up, and he was in first gear compared to Javonta's just going into fifth gear. As far as the levels, the rate at which he was raising the levels, get different looks, different deceptions. I mean, it was very, very impressive to watch. And I'm telling you, I don't think you saw the best of Javonta yet because you haven't seen a guy to take him to that point. Because he's got so much power, as soon as he gets the timing, he takes you out of the fight. But if a guy can stay in that fight when Javonta goes through that high level, I wonder how good Javonta could be. You know what I mean? At that point.
Who is that guy, you think?
I don't know, man. I mean, obviously it's going to be a Shakur, maybe a Haney, maybe a Lomachenko. I don't know, but I don't even know if you're going to get these fights, bro, because these guys are in a different stable, and you got network battles and all this crap, So I don't even know, bro. I don't even know. Now we know we're going to get Javonta. Now Javonta got his Ryan Garcia win, which was like the Super Bowl win. Yeah. So now he's going to go back to fighting guys he never heard of.
And who's going to take the rehydration clause if he puts that with somebody, I
mean, listen. I mean, the rehydration clause, he did it, but I mean, listen. Everybody does a little bit of something. Honestly. Again, level-wise, listen, the rehydration clause would start to come into play later in the fight anyway. I mean, the fight changed after the round 2 knockdown. That's it. The fight changed after the round 2
No, I'm saying, will anybody else take those stipulations with him? Like Ryan did, if he wants somebody
else. You know what? Because Javonta won this fight, he now becomes a bigger deal. So the more bigger of a deal you are, the more pull you have. I mean, it's been done before. It's not like this is the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about Floyd, but Ray Leonard was fighting in football stadium-sized rings every time he fought. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And he was making the rules. Like when they were 15-round title fights, he made them 12 rounds. You know what I mean? So when you have the cards, you just do that. And I think everybody does that. I think whether anybody wants to take those deals or not, a win like the one Javonta just got puts him in a position where he's going to have even more of the strong cards to negotiate that way in the future, So
Yeah.
it's not really going to matter if you want to do it or not. I mean, don't get me wrong. You get into a Shakur Stevenson kind of fight, both guys are at that level, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Unfortunately.
Well,
can you imagine if you got that kind of fight right now? Boxing used to give it to you. Like Leonard and Hearns fought in their like early to mid 20s. Boxing used to give you those fights. Can you imagine if boxing was cool like it used to be? Where
we got one. Right? I know it wasn't a world championship fight, but I feel like they called them the Four Princes, and they actually fought.
Yeah,
fought.
They call them the Four Kings, but really, were they? I mean, look at the level. Ryan was so much less level. I
know.
And Ryan was never a world champion,
Yeah,
so they were putting his name into the
that,
popularity contest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, listen, it was. The king stuff you gotta really have fought each other.
And you'd be surprised with Tank's popularity with just people who don't follow boxing. All my
friends
are talking about
Javonta Davis is known. He's a known entity. He's a known entity.
Yeah.
He's a known entity.
They're asking me, they're like, Jimmy, you got Tank. I'm like,
and this win is gonna make him a bigger deal. This win is gonna make him bigger because Ryan brought a different kind of fan base, and he also was very popular. So, but you know what?
Haney's got a little bit of a pull.
For me, this was just the appetizer. Honestly, for me, it was the Haney Lomachenko was a Super Bowl for me.
What are your? We're almost 20 days out.
Listen, it's a good fight. I'm not changing my prediction. I remember I was giving Haney some credit before, and I saw in the comments like Paulie's scared of. I'm not scared of my prediction, bro. I think Lomachenko is a hungry guy. I think he's a special kind of fighter in that there's guys, even as they get older, they stay hungry, they stay determined because they always set new goals. Guys like Floyd Mayweather was like that. Even Muhammad Ali, if you think about it, like Muhammad Ali dug down in the Thriller in Manila. He's older already. He's got money already. He's digging down. He's outlasting Joe Frazier. They're both trying to outlast each other. They're both multimillionaires. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's only special fighters that get to a certain age and are willing to just put it all on the line and fight like they're just starting. Fight like they got nothing. Fight like they haven't accomplished anything. To just keep achieving those goals. Again, Floyd was like that, and Lomachenko's like that.
And this is Loma's biggest fight
and
since Tio, but that fight didn't have fans, so it's really his biggest fight.
Because that fight was the coronavirus and everything, and also this one has the whole all the talk about.
It's got you.
Well, I think I've promoted this fight very well myself. Honestly,
Top rank should cut us a check.
But I let those guys have it, man. They deserve it. But what I'm saying is, this fight is again, speaking of Lomachenko, he's a guy who's hungry. Like for him, this is another new goal. He hasn't won the undisputed title. It's been something that he's always wanted to accomplish. And for a guy like Lomachenko, who's accomplished everything from the amateurs to the pros, to still have something to check off that he hasn't checked off yet, it keeps him that motivated and that hungry. This is not your average 35-year-old. Don't get me wrong. 35-year-olds, when you're of this level, even at 35, we saw Floyd Mayweather still perform at a very, very high level. And I think we're talking about the same kind of mindset in a fighter that gets older, where he'll still be so determined and still be so hungry, and he's still so multi-layered with the skill set that it's interesting for me because again, have we really seen Haney in a fight where we had to wonder if he was going to win? The Kambosos fight, we wondered if he was going to win because of the atmosphere. At least I did. I wondered if it was too soon for a young man to go in there. But then Kambosos went in there and laid an egg, bro. I mean, he didn't even throw any punches. Then in the second fight, he came out. He thought he was going to switch righty and lefty constantly. He thought that was going to confuse Haney. I don't know what the hell he was doing. I don't know what kind of game plan he came in the second fight. That was even the second fight. The way Kambosos fight was more shocking than the first fight, because at least the first fight you say, oh, you know what, you were maybe shocked that he was so poised. The young man was so poised. The young man was so skilled. You were shocked. But to come back in the second fight and lay another egg, bro, I mean, that was crazy. I mean, where you just, you thought that you were going to come in and run back and forth lefty and righty and not throw any punches off from both stances, no less. And you thought that was going to confuse Haney.
What's your biggest knock on Haney? And what's your favorite thing about him?
It's not a knock. It's that I haven't seen him push to another level yet. So I don't know if it's there. And that's not a knock because he's been good enough to not be pushed to that level yet. But here's where the knock comes in. The knock comes in is where he's talking about the guys who would push him to that level, but then he's always fighting guys who are in there with their canes and rocking chairs already on their way out, or been on the way out. Like Haney fought Linares and Lomachenko fought Linares. The Linares that fought Lomachenko is multiple levels above the Linares that fought Haney. I mean, you're talking about the guy was in his prime and on the pound for pound was when he fought Lomachenko, and then when he fought Haney, people didn't even know he was still fighting. A guy I beat had knocked him out in the first round the year before. You know what I mean? A Pablo Cesar Cano had knocked out Jorge Linares.
Oh, really? So you guys have a common opponent.
In one round. Yeah. In one round, he knocked him out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, after Cano knocked out Linares. I don't even know Linares is still fighting. Then all of a sudden he's fighting Haney. You know what I mean? So it's not just because his name is Haney doesn't mean. I mean, just because his name is Linares doesn't mean you fought the Linares that Lomachenko fought. You know what I'm saying? The Linares that dropped Lomachenko with a right hand, mind you. You know? So you got that. You got Gamboa, who I had seen already bust his Achilles tendon in the Javonta Davis fight, and he was like 100. He looked like a 100-year-old there, and then Haney fought him again. You know, you're filling your resume with names, but there were still hungry name guys around that you could have like fought instead, like a Richard Comey or something like that. But you didn't fight those guys. You know, those guys could have made your life a little bit more difficult. You know, you fought the guys who were completely shot, but then you're claiming that Lomachenko's ducking you. You know what I'm saying? So yet Lomachenko was looking to unify with Teofimo Lopez. That's not really a duck when you're going after the more important fight with the more money, right? I mean, so I didn't duck Herman Ngujo. He was my mandatory for the IBF title when I fought Ricky Hatton. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I wanted the Ricky Hatton fights, but Herman Ngujo could have said I ducked him because I just sort of gave him a rematch, right? But like, did I really duck him? I mean, I had a fight that was worth multiple times more money, and it was for all the marbles, right? So, you know, this guy's going around claiming things that he knows himself weren't true, saying things that he knows himself weren't true, claiming he has titles that he knows himself he didn't have at the time, and then, you know, fighting guys that you're like, what? Who are you fighting? You know what I mean? And then the Kambosos fight he wasn't supposed to get. You know, it was Lomachenko's fight. It wasn't his fight. It was Lomachenko's fight. And then the war happened. So literally, you know, like, you know when we call it in Brooklyn when you get lucky you step in shit. Like, he stepped in shit, bro. You know what I mean? Like, he stepped in shit, and he wound up getting the Kambosos fight instead. And of course, Kambosos had a good night against Teofimo Lopez, but Kambosos had been pretty ordinary prior to the Teofimo Lopez fight and pretty ordinary after the Teofimo Lopez fight. You can never take away what Kambosos accomplished, because he accomplished the undisputed title in beating Teofimo. But nonetheless, all in all, when you look at the body of work, it's a pretty ordinary guy that Lomachenko would have probably wiped clean. You know what I mean? So you're only on the undisputed champion because Lomachenko had a war to attend to, a situation that was like very highly stressful. And then, you know, you're talking down about this guy. You know what I mean? It's like if I would have fought the Zab Judah fight and I would have disrespected Zab. You know what I mean? After he's accomplished so much, like he's older than me. I know he's accomplished so much. I would have never done that. You know what I mean? Zab, we had a friendly press conferences. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you got to kiss his ass, but going into the fight, like, now I'd say, you know, you got to have your game face on, no respect. Before, like, you're talking like this guy, like is somebody like some kind of mutt. I don't know, man. And you haven't fought anybody. You haven't tested yourself. You clearly haven't wanted to test yourself. Jojo Diaz is his best opponent, but even Jojo didn't really fight a hungry fight. You know what I mean? Like I
don't think Jojo really knew what to do.
Yeah. Again, I mean, Haney is a good fighter, but he hasn't been pushed to the level that I think he can be pushed against Lomachenko. So we're gonna get some answers. I see him like the kind of guy I was. I'm not gonna knock out my own career. You know what I mean? Like I think I was a good fighter, but if you push me to too many levels, I didn't have a lot of answers. I was a jab first guy with a lot of speed and a lot of good reflexes. The difference with me and Haney is Haney throws some punches with a little more weight on them. He throws he throws some heavier shots, but I threw more combinations. Yeah. I would use my speed instead of trying to load up shots. Haney doesn't throw as many combinations, but he'll throw like a big overhand right, and he'll go to the body a little bit more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I would like use the same kind of jab setups as Haney. Literally, a lot of them are very similar. Like the jab step back, the feinting off the jab, leading with the jab, trying to draw you in off the jab, all that stuff. Jab first guy, but then I would also move my hands in bunches. Or I would pick my spots where I would put my punches in bunches with a lot of speed. Haney doesn't really do that. He loads up more and he goes to the body a little bit more often than me. And he loads up more with less combinations. So the similarities there. But again, I know that kind of fighter because I was a very similar fighter. And so when you got to go to different levels and you don't have the firepower, I don't know, man. He's a physically bigger than Lomachenko, but is he a physical fighter? All this physical size is okay, but he's not a physical fighter. So is the physical size going to matter that much? Sure, we saw him knock out one of his opponents with a big overhand right. I remember that was a really impressive knockout. Who was the guy that he beat? I forgot his name, with a big overhand right. It was a really impressive knockout. But again, it's not really a shot that you're going to count on to land on Lomachenko. You'd have to be very, very deceptive to land it. Not to say you can't land, but you have to be very, very deceptive with it, you know? And then you need to land it with that same kind of power. And then we know Haney hasn't had that same kind of power every single time. So again, you're going to see things. You're going to see a fight where Haney's going to go to places where he hasn't been. And I'm not saying he can't hang, but I'm very, very curious to see how he reacts when he's taken to this place, you know?
What's your favorite part in his style? Like I know you pick him apart.
I like his jab. I like his jab. And, dude, I see a lot of the same traps I used to set up off that jab. Especially on the step backs, the way he does, where he knows how to control range very easily. But some guys are much more deceptive and don't let you control range that easily. The slow-footed guys like Kambosos, you eat those guys up all the time. I would say I beat an Australian too, love Moreno, and he actually used to come a lot harder than Kambosos did. Endo in his younger years made everybody's life hell. Watch Endo against Cotto. Watch Endo against Junior Witter. He got robbed against Sean B. Mitchell for the WBA world title before he even fought me. You know what I mean? So Endo would make you. Endo was a comer all the time. He was
bringing it.
Yeah, but that was later in his career. I won 154 just for the money. Mind you, Endo never got stopped no matter what weight he fought. That guy was a crazy bastard. But what I'm saying is, he was too slow-footed, nonetheless. He actually brought it way more than Kambosos. Kambosos just settled for just not. All right, I can't get in. I'm just not gonna do anything. But Endo wouldn't accept that. He was gonna make you work. But what I'm saying is, if you were too slow-footed, I knew how to set those traps with spacing. You know what I mean? And for the most part, that's that I think that's what Haney does very, very well. But once you're a little bit more deceptive, or if you're quick-footed. And Lomachenko's kind of quick-footed too, and we'll see how quick-footed he is with his older age. But it's a lot of curiosities that need to be discussed in this fight. People can say, oh, the Jermaine Ortiz, he didn't look good. Well, there's something about the Jermaine Ortiz fight. First of all, I think Jermaine Ortiz is better than anybody Haney beat. Nobody on Haney's record is better than Jermaine Ortiz. Okay, Haney versus Jermaine Ortiz would actually be a good fight that I couldn't predict to you who would win, honestly, between Haney and Jermaine Ortiz. I think those guys are very, very evenly matched up. Number one. Number two, Jermaine Ortiz had been a sparring partner for Lomachenko, so he knew who he was dealing with. So it's different when you're going into round one and you've never been in the ring with this guy, as opposed to you going in the ring with this guy and you already know what you're seeing, so you know how to the kind of start you need to get off to just to be confident. Because you see Jermaine Ortiz had a specific game plan to put everything in bunches on the inside, and he troubled Lomachenko before Lomachenko settled things down and took control of the fight. So Lomachenko also had come off the war, spent the longest amount of time outside the gym in his whole career. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of things you can do, but you couldn't say, oh, maybe he's getting old. It's one of you got to bring it up, but at the same time, there's a lot of other things you got to bring up going into that Ortiz fight. But we'll see. We'll see how the result plays out. I think Lomachenko wins the fight, but we'll see.
24 days till your reckoning.
Till my reckoning, yes.
Because the thing is, if he loses, you're going to get more views.
Listen, whatever, man. He loses. Listen, I picked Ryan in the last minute, right? I mean, what am I going to do, It's two world-class guys that fight. And like I said, I'll reiterate it again.
And if Haney loses,
Davis,
there's gonna be
for me, Davis and Ryan, as big of a fight as it was still the appetizer to this one. This is for all the marbles. I'm a boxing guy, bro. I'm a boxing fan. This is the undisputed
exactly.
Undisputed lightweight title. This is what fighting is about. This is what boxing is about. This kind of fight. Okay, you enjoyed Davis versus Garcia. It was a nice appetizer. Got a ton of buys. It was the place to be for the pop. It was the popularity place to be because you had all the YouTube people and all the and Javonta Davis is also very popular. But Haney and Lomachenko is the fight fans fight. It's the fighter's fight too. It's the fight every fighter wants to be in. When you start boxing, that's the fight you always dream of being in. And every fight fan, true fight fan, that's the kind of fight they want to see. The undisputed title between two top guys. Okay, so Haney Lomachenko is the fight. That was the appetizer. Haney Lomachenko is the fight. That's the way I'm telling you. Yeah, and in closing, going back to McGregor visiting Ryan Garcia, I forgot. I was, this happened. No, because I got all the inside sources. Conor McGregor had to apologize to Steven Espinosa in order to get tickets to the Javonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia fight. Because, everybody knows that McGregor has had issues, his run-ins with Espinosa in the past, and they were enemies as well. But Espinosa now controls the tickets. It's a Showtime fight. He had to apologize. And this pussy apologized just to get tickets to the fight. How does Conor McGregor, Connie, how does Steven Espinosa's dick taste? Can you let me know? Because I told him to fuck off when they wanted me to apologize. But I want to know, because I've already told you got no balls. We already know you got no balls. But now you went just when I thought you couldn't sink any lower. You apologized just for tickets to the fight. Bro, how does Steven's dick taste? Can you respond to me, please, on your story? Because I know once in a while you like to put the same highlight on loop over and over again. The only 5 seconds you had from the sparring. So I know you like to do that. Can you let me know how Steven's dick tastes? Because I could never describe it, bro. Because when they told me to apologize, I told them to blow me. So can you tell me, please? How does Conor McGregor, how does Steven Espinosa's dick taste? Was it worth those tickets? Let me know.